Group Therapy 1. My first session back at group therapy. Elena and Jazz greet me like royalty. Elena plays a pretend trumpet when I enter the room. Jazz announces me. You may have thought you'd seen the last of her genius, her origami, her baseball short stories, but ladies and gentlemen, she just missed us too much. Let's welcome back Cassandra Marie Hollins. Elena makes crowd cheering noises. The rest of the kids in the room clap awkwardly. Jazz takes me by the arm. Don't mind the newbies, they've only been here for a few months. Elena sits next to us. They still think they're here to talk about their feelings. She puts feelings in air quotes. The counselor, Mrs. Holmes, tells everyone to sit, introduces me, and says, Cass is new to most people here. She looks at our small group. We call ourselves the Lifers, as if to tell us to behave. We won't, of course. Where's the fun in that? I'm sure she has a lot of wisdom to share with many of you. Jazz rolls her eyes. Elena whispers, Yeah, right. I wish Blaine were here too. It's not quite right without him. Where is he? On Wednesdays, Mom teaches a class online. Dad writes freelance articles as much as he can now, before the chemo knocks him flat. I go with Jayla to the zoo where her dad works. He calls it zoology, biology, geography, social science volunteering class. I call it the best day of the week. We go behind the scenes to see the zoo from the caretaking side, help feed the animals, clean cages, and ask questions. Lots of questions. That's the class part. Then we go home with even more questions to look up on our computers and bring back more the next week. So when Jayla rings the bell to our apartment, I bound out of my room and through the door because Wednesdays are the best day of the week. Meerkats. Jayla's dad meets us by the snow cone stand. I heard you had a request, Cass. I nod. Well, I've got a few animals to check on first, okay? I shrug. Okay. We follow him to the meerkat enclosure where a woman is holding a stack of red containers. Her hand is on the secret door. You taking over feeding today? She asks us with a smile. If that's okay with you, Jen, Mr. Jasper says in his soft, strong voice. Be my guest. Be my guest. She hands me and Jayla each a container. It's snails and grasshoppers today. I wrinkle my nose. Yuck. But Jayla lights up. Cool. Inside the enclosure, a dozen tiny heads pop up and down, out and in of their little holes. Jayla and I carefully pry the lids off our containers and start scattering creepy crawlies all around the dirt. Jayla got grasshoppers. Lucky. Half of them jump without her having to do anything, but I have snails that stick to the container sides and slime my hands. Good thing I'm wearing gloves. Plop, plop, plop. Each of the snails goes to a different corner. This is so gross, I say. Jayla giggles, turning her already empty container upside down. Better get used to it in case we ever go to France. They call snails escargot. It's what I call no, Jayla snorts. Meerkats say hello. The meerkats emerge. They know food is here. They aren't scared of people in their enclosure. They're used to it. They put their paws on our boots, look up like they're saying, "Want to play?" Except all they know is how to play. All they know how to play is tag, and you'll never, ever catch them. At least, not without a treat. I crouch down, hold out a nasty snail, and wait, so still, so calm, until the smallest one, Pippin, scurries up, snatches it away from me, and runs back to his burrow. He pops his head back up, watching me while he eats. Don't worry, I say, rolling my eyes. It's all yours. There are some delicacies. I don't feel too bad. There are some delicacies I don't feel too bad about missing. Elephants. After Jayla's dad checks out the meerkat named Frodo, who has a limp, he says, Okay, girls, follow me. He leads us to the far end of the zoo through a locked gate up behind a building. There are cement pillars with thick wire strung between on the other side. Elephants. I step forward, catch my breath. Elephants have 20 sets of the cancer-fighting P53 gene, I whisper. I know, says Jayla's dad. He says it quietly, not like a whisper, but like a Sunday morning prayer at church. This is Hazel. They're taking a blood sample from her today to send to the cancer center. Want to watch? I nod and walk to the fence, feel the metal push into my fingers. A man gives a signal, and Hazel holds still, flaps out her ears, and waits while they push a tube into an attachment on her ear, and it fills with blood. Woozy. Some people feel woozy when they see blood. Some people faint. But I've seen my dad with an IV in so many times it doesn't bother me anymore. When I see that vial now full of deep red, I feel something else. Grateful. And I wonder if it hurts every time they take a little piece of Hazel. Want to try? You want to try? Asks Jayla's dad. To take blood? Jayla squeaks. She may like grasshoppers, but she does not like blood. He laughs. No, giving Hazel a sign. He shows us how to raise our hand and then clench it into a fist to make Hazel raise her foot. Jayla tries first. Hand up, clenched fist. But Hazel just stands there like she doesn't even see Jayla. She can be a stubborn one, says Mick, the woman in charge of the elephants. Don't take it personally. Then it's my turn. I take a deep breath and stand very still until Hazel's eyes meet mine. Hand up, fist clenched. Hazel waits. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds before lifting a front foot up off the ground. Hey, I think she's taking a shine to you, Jayla nudges me with her elbow. Lucky? Most people never say that about me. I don't take my eyes off of Hazel. Elephant eye. Hazel's eyes are golden orange like a sunset in a forest fire. Eyelashes long and crimped, her stare crackles, burns, sparks as if she's saying, I always had the answers. I was just waiting for you to ask. Finally, Mick jolts me back with a bucket of fruit and carrots. Here, she'll love you forever now. Hazel's trunk sneaks under a wire when I hold out an apple slice, curls around it, hairy, like it's covered in short pieces of hay, tickling. I reach out, pat her trunk, give her another piece of fruit. It feels like the only way to say thanks. While Jayla learns about the ivory trade and looks up more about what it says on a nearby poster. 96 elephants are killed each day for their tusks. I sit on a bench and lay my hand on the cover of the elephant pamphlet. I read the words again, gently, searching as if they are scripture. I read about the man studying DNA, about the drug trials in 5 years, and I wonder if I could be a part of it. And even more important, if it could one day maybe help save my dad. Or me. Library. We stop at the library on our way home. There are kids my age there using the computers. I wonder if they realize how many germs grow on those keyboards. I ask the librarian for books about genes. She gives me Gregor Mendel, The Friar Who Grew Peas, The Violinist's Thumb, and The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. Not those kinds of genes. The librarian smiles, winks. I keep it anyway and check out Strictly No Elephants, too. Just because. Pros and cons of getting tested. Pros, it might be good news. I could be part of the elephant study. Cons, it might be bad news. My 8th World Series. The home team was losing 5 long innings, not a single run. The man next to us took off his hat, turned it inside out, and wore it to the side. He told his son to do the same. The people on our left, below us, above us, all did it too. Rally cap, Dad whispered. We'd better follow suit. Why? I asked, putting my inside out hat back on my head. To help the team make a comeback. It seemed silly until they won, scoring 7 home runs in the bottom of the 9th, surprising everyone. How did that work? Dad kissed my hat hair. Hope is a powerful thing. Email to Elena and Jazz. Either of you heard anything from Blaine? He hasn't emailed me back yet. The missing pamphlet. When I get home, I go straight to my room, to my computer, my research. I pull out my pros and cons list again. Still pathetically short. Tap my pencil on the desk. Where should I start? I reach for the gray and green pamphlet from yesterday, the one that laid Dad's life, my life, out in numbers. But it's gone. Down to the floor I go, hands and knees searching. A voice from the doorway says, "Looking for this?" It's Dad, holding the pamphlet, a sad smile on his face. "How much of this have you read?" I stand, shrug, most of it. Dad nods, sighs, sits on my bed. "How much did you understand?" I fold my arms. "Most of it." "So, you know." What I know. The sun rises in the east. There are 50 states in the USA. Ostriches cannot fly. A platypus lays eggs. 2 plus 2 is 4. My dad has cancer and a mutated gene that gets passed along half of the time. I am his daughter, and we are unlucky. That's what I was afraid of. That's what I was afraid of. He leans back against the wall, smacks the pamphlet against his other hand, and waits for me to say more. Dad always waits for me to say something. He doesn't try to fill the silence or move on to other topics. He understands that some ideas have to roll around your brain, pick up speed, get a bit more polished before they can come out of your mouth exactly the way they should. But the one thought in my brain that has been there since yesterday plops out like a pebble falling into a lake. Why didn't you tell me? Dad's excuse. Dad takes my hand, then my arm, and pulls me close to him. He's strong now. I try not to think of how weak he'll be soon. I wanted to, but your mom, she thought it was too much, too heavy. Place on these shoulders of yours. He squeezes my shoulders. When he says it, "She's wrong," I say. "I'm 12 now." Dad smiles. Ah, yes, a man loves the meat in his youth that he cannot endure in his age. I know it's Shakespeare. It's always Shakespeare with Dad, but I don't understand it. What does that mean? He looks to the ceiling as if it will give him answers. It means some things are easier to handle, to think about, to address when you're younger, before old age, melancholy, and seeing too much of the world set in. I ask him the question, my question about the test, but I already know what he'll say. "I can't answer that for you. You're 12. You can decide for yourself." It would have been easier to just be obedient and do as I'm told. Maybe Dad is right, and it's better to be young than old. "Don't tell Mom." "Don't tell Mom," I say, as Dad leaves my room. He stops. "About this, or about the fact that you're still playing baseball?" I wince. "Both. It's just with this cancer thing, I'm not ready to." The words trail off, but Dad understands. "You're not ready to hear Mom's positive side of it." I nod. "That's because there isn't one, Cass. There isn't one." Pros and cons of getting tested. Pros: it might be good news. I could be part of the elephant study. Cons: it might be bad news. There is nothing positive about having the gene. Batting practice. "You know what I feel like?" asks Dad. Batting practice. So we walk across the street to the diamond and field. Not the one I practice on, but any diamond is good. I step up to the plate, feel my feet sink into the dusty red dirt, bang my bat against home plate, feel the way it gives a tiny bit, wrap my fingers around the metal, bend my knees, elbows out, eye on the ball. Dad throws, I swing, and crack! It's going, Dad shouts as I run for first base. Going! Gone! I do a cartwheel into home, just because I can. Less traveled. Another night, another poem. Dad leans on his elbow, sighs. "Cass, I picked out a special one tonight by Robert Frost. We've read it before, but I think you might hear it differently now." He reads, "Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both and be one traveler, long I stood. and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. I know this poem. Everyone knows it. We all know the ending about two paths and taking the road less traveled, but it's the first part that's important. How long can I stand here and look down the road? I can only be one traveler. How long do I have? I ask Dad as he closes the book. He coughs. What? I sigh and remember what those words usually mean to a cancer patient. How long do I have, I say again, to decide? About the test? Dad leans his cheek on the top of my head. Life isn't like the library, Cass. There's no due date. No due date. Whenever you're ready. But I can keep it from your mom for only so long before it's a breach of trust. You understand that, right? I do. But didn't she breach my trust first? Write about this. Just as Dad is about to turn off the light, I ask him, You won't write about this, will you? You won't write about me on your blog? Dad smiles and sighs. This is your life, Cass. I won't share it with the world until you're ready. Or maybe you can share it when you're ready. I think about it for a second. I think I'd like that. Good night. Good night. Email from Jazz. He wasn't at group last week. You think he's dead or something? And Elena wrote back. Brain hemorrhage from too many video games, probably. I laugh and type yeah back. Yeah, maybe. Hope he still gets email in heaven. We joke about death as an armor. It can't hurt us. Saturday. Jayla meets me to bike to my game, second to last one of the regular season. I figure if she rides with me, Mom won't be as mad as when she finds out if she finds out. Plus, it makes it less of a lie when I say I'm going to hang out with Jayla. We zip down sidewalks, around corners, pointing at imaginary landmarks, the Arc de Triomphe, Statue of Liberty, Taj Mahal, all the way to the field. It's a perfect summer evening, but I can't feel the goodness of it over the way my stomach twists with guilt. To be healed. Only one last Sunday before we start chemo, before months of doing church at home, alone, which is never quite the same. The pew is hard, the bread is stale, the water is cold, the speaker stands behind the microphone, coughs, begins to talk. I wave at Jayla. A few rows over, fold a paper fan, but I don't really listen until a story starts about a man who takes his sick son to Jesus, and Jesus says he can heal the man's son if the man has faith. Jesus always says that faith to be healed, but the man doesn't have it. He cries out, Help thou mine unbelief. I look at Mom. Tears run down her face. Dad stares into his hands like they hold a maze. And for a moment, I understand Mom. And the next moment, I understand Dad. Because it's hard to love God when he gives you cancer, but it's hard to hate God when he also heals. Destroyer, healer, which one is for me? I take Dad's hand and say a prayer. Promise God that I'll have faith enough for two. First day. First days are important. First day of school, first day of summer, first day of chemo. I always go with Dad. There are pictures of me as a toddler holding his hand and walking him to his very first round ever. Before I was allowed on the fourth floor and could only walk him to the front door. But today is another first day. I clutch a book in one hand, lace my fingers between Dad's with the other. Mom grabs Dad's overnight bag in his other hand. We all march in together. Dad bridging the gap that's growing between Mom and me. First days are important. They will define how everything else will go. This one is no different. Positive and negative sides. First day of college, first day at my first job, first kiss, first love, first day being married, first day as a mom. Firsts are important. My future is full of firsts. I can't help looking around and wondering if this place will be the place I will always come back to. So many firsts I hope to have, but will they all be lost to this one? Memory. The second we get off the elevator, Dad grabs his stomach, moans, throws up in the closet trash can because his body remembers what's about to happen, and it's getting ready. Pros and cons of getting tested. Pros, it might be good news. I could be part of the elephant study. Cons, it might be more bad news. There is nothing positive about having the gene. If I have the gene, I'll feel sick every time I think about my future. Cut or kill. There are two ways to get rid of cancer: cut or kill. If the cancer is small enough, if it stays locked up tight without twisting or working its way to any other rooms, and if it hasn't snuck its hand deep in the cookie jar, grabbing more and more than a scalpel can cut it out, scrape it away like cancer never happened. But if it's escaped, unlocked the doors, and tiptoed up or down the stairs, or had babies and hid them in cupboards and drawers, there's only one thing to do: kill it and everything around it, and almost burn the entire house down in the process. Methotrexate. The bag says methotrexate, a big word, like something printed in the list of ingredients on a cereal box. But nobody wants to eat this. The nurses handle the bag with gloves, special coats, and masks. One of them mentions that she accidentally spilled some on her arm once. It left a big red burn. I wonder if this is why Dad likes the scripture about the boys in the fiery furnace so much. Email from Blaine. I'm here, guys. Sorry. My mom is sick. Well, normal people sick, you know? Safety check. Before every practice and every game, the boys have to do this thing called safety check. It's the only time I actually feel weird being the only girl on the team. It's like a ritual now. Coach lines us up, takes us through stretches, and then after the last one, I can see what he's about to say, and I turn around, face the other way. Safety check, he calls, and all the boys laugh and knock on the hard part of their uniform. Then I turn back around. I've decided it's the boys who are weird, not me. It gives me an idea, though, and when I pass to Jack, before he can say anything to me, I say, Jack, you're so weird. Jack smirks, so I go on. I just hope he gets it. Sometimes good jokes are actually pretty tricky. You're so weird, your mom tried to sell you to a museum, but they wouldn't accept you. Didn't think you were real. Jack opens a piece of gum, folds it into his mouth. Like a platypus? I knew I could count on Jack to understand. Platypus. Scientists thought platypuses were a big joke. The first time they saw one, no animal can be a mammal and so much like a duck at the same time. Perhaps I'm a platypus too. Two different possibilities combined to make me. Eye on the ball. At practice, coach reminds us all to focus. Keep your eye on the ball the whole time. I don't want your mind thinking about anything else. But all I can see are everyone's hands on the grips of the bats, everyone's hands wrapped around the baseballs, everyone's hands touching each other in the huddle. Hands, hands, hands with germs. Germs that could kill my dad now that he's in chemo. What am I doing here? Washing hands. It isn't always cancer that kills you when it comes to visit. Sometimes when you're burning out rooms of your house trying to get cancer to leave, you can't close the door against other visitors, tiny visitors, ones with little names like cold and flu. And if your back is turned while the fire is raging, they'll finish the job of killing you. And so I carry hand sanitizer everywhere I go. Mom scrubs the bathroom, the kitchen, the cupboards, the floor, and then sits in the corner and cries because her best friend from college can no longer come visit now that she started coughing. When I sneak back in from practice, I scrub my hands once, twice, 3 times. I take off all my clothes and shower, scrubbing every inch of my skin. But I still feel the germs crawling all over me. Itchy, sharp. Can't wash away the germs. Can't wash away the guilt. Email chain. Email from Jazz. Oh no, is she okay? Reply from Elena. Is it the flu? Email from me. Are you scared, Blaine?